the audience. Oh,
That was,
yeah, as your enthusiasm.
Excited.
And our panel will include maybe Ama, and maybe Sarah, and definitely Tom. So for today, our initial thing, we're going to sort of introduce what the hell is Ritual and Rolls? What the hell is it? See, that was your little Bernie right there for you. That's about as good as I get. All right. We'll do a little bit about Archaeogaming. If we get more people on, we might talk a little bit about Public Archaeology and how this fits into Public Archaeology. And if we can still talk about that. And at the end, if we want to introduce whatever characters we happen to have here at the time, we'll sort of do that as well. So with that, what is Rituals and Rolls? Simply, it's the ArchaeoRPG. See, if you look at ArchaeoRPG, it's like the first half is archaeology, still digging. The other part is RPG, and that's where Rituals and Rolls comes in. It's the part where you're going to see archaeologists engage with role-playing games. So if by clicking on or listening to a channel called ArchaeoRPG and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't know these nerds are going to start talking games, now might be the time to hit the road. And I apologize.
To be fair,
I would say, please stick around. You may be surprised.
If they're here for the archaeology, they're already nerds. Let's be honest about this.
How dare you, sir?
I'm a nerd. I have heard that it is hot nerd fall. I don't think I fall into that category, but it's a thing.
Well, it was 95 degrees today, so it was hot. Oh, do we have?
I was hot today, and I am a nerd.
Hold up. I think we may have a signal coming in from around the world, from sometime in the future. From the future. Hello, Friday.
It is 10 a.m. on Friday here.
What? What kind of?
Amma made it.
What kind of magic is that?
Some magic. I may have dealt in some unsavory dealings to get access.
But you're not the warlock.
Yet.
No, but I am the rogue.
She could multi-class. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
So welcome. Now we are on our Rituals and Rolls recap show right now, and I just sort of did the sort of general introductions and then sort of explained that this is the show where a group of archaeologists are going to be doing role-playing games, and that's about as far as we've gotten. So we're sort of in the introducing Rituals and Rolls right now, and how we're sort of a live play table. So for this season, so if you've been following the channel, we have been doing some video games. A lot of them doing Dungeons and Dragons, sort of as a lead up for all this. But now we are going to go live. We are going to take on Acquisition Incorporated, Critical Role, Dungeons and Dugons. They're all going down.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for that. Take them down. Can we go with act as a supplement too?
Fine. Hopefully at some point.
Have a critical debate on it.
Hopefully at some point. Hopefully at some point in the next year we can get 100 subscribers.
Goals.
All right. We'll go with we'll work our way up. I'm sorry. I jumped over the question mark section of our underwear gnome chart of world domination.
Have we done underwear gnomes?
This episode of South Park with the underwear gnomes.
Oh.
They have a chart. They have a chart that says, steel underwear, question mark, profit.
Got it. I mean, step 3 is always profit.
Yeah, so it's playing on that trope of step 3 being the question mark, profit.
Got it.
So
I mean, it's a plan.
It is a plan.
It is a plan.
So we are starting off our actual play sessions with Dungeons and Dragons because It's the behemoth. It is the juggernaut. It is the big daddy, or big mama, or big dragon of the. It's big, of the tabletop role-playing world. Most other systems are either direct copies of, or have deliberately not been a copy in such a way that the negative influence of Dungeons and Dragons can be felt within those systems. So
avoid where Dungeons and Dragons should be.
Exactly. So if we are going to enter in the world of Archaeogaming, and we will talk about Archaeogaming in a second, around the worlds of tabletop role-playing, it makes sense to first jump in to sort of the big one, the big competitor in this whole thing, and that would be Dungeons and Dragons. So that's why we're doing that. But as we move forward and hopefully have more seasons of this, we may entertain other systems. Call of Cthulhu has been one we've been talking about a lot, because
more problematic than Dungeons and Dragons.
More problematic, but it definitely plays much more into real archaeology, because the time periods are different. If you're playing in the 1920s, you have real world archaeology that you can draw upon as examples, as horrible, racist, bad examples. But this is Lovecraft, so we will have to step into that world with both feet.
And boy, is he racist! Like, whoa.
There are other systems like this, the Fate Core system. There's the Dungeon World system, the Savage World system. There are a bunch of other ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. But yes, so we are not exclusively going to. We are not exclusively examining the world of Dungeons and Dragons. We might stick around for that as we expand, but. So before sort of going in deeper into Dungeons and Dragons, should we talk about Archaeogaming?
I think so. I think we need to set up our framework. I think that's important.
Why do a bunch of archaeologists want to have a nerdy show where they talk archaeology about gaming?
Because we hate ourselves and hate having hobbies. No, that's not true. I think it's important that it's understood that, even the built world is an artifact in and of itself. So even if the world is virtual, it is a built world and also an artifact. If that makes any sense.
Ooh, I like that.
Write that down.
Going to go right to the source.
That's my one profound thought for the day.
No, I appreciate it for sure. I think that's a good direction to go in, that you can consume something and still be critical of it at the same time.
I enjoyed reading Call of Cthulhu. It was an interesting book, but it was a hell of racist. And the same. And we have discussed it on Still Digging before as well. Some of the problematic themes in Dungeons and Dragons itself is built on this colonial structure.
And before we get too much further, sorry, Ama, do you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, if we could even expand it so much further, I'd love to bring in, if we're going to talk about Lovecraft, I would love to contrast that with somebody like Ursula Le Guin, or somebody who also dealt with fantasy.
Write that down. Put that on our ideas sheet. That's a future segment right there.
For sure.
That's a future segment on there. But I wanted to sort of go back to sort of the source for Archaeogaming, Andrew Reinhardt, and his book Archaeogaming. And sort of quote what he defines Archaeogaming. Now, Andrew Reinhardt is a PhD candidate out of York in the UK, but he sort of made his claim to fame, if anyone's ever even heard of him, and you probably heard of the project at least, a few years back when there was an excavation in Arizona to dig up ET cartridges for the Atari 2600. He's the one that led that expedition. and he is sort of has modeled the initial theory behind Archaeogaming. Now, when he was doing it, he was thinking strictly about the world of video games. So I'm going to sort of quote some of his ideas of what Archaeogaming is. It's going to reference video games, and I guess maybe afterwards we can discuss how we plan on changing, altering his initial idea into a more analog gaming system. So to quote him, what is Archaeogaming? Archaeogaming, broadly defined, is the archaeology both in and of digital games. Archaeology is the study of ancient and recent human past through material remains in pursuit of a broad, comprehensive understanding of human culture. Digital games are archaeological sites, landscapes, and artifacts, and the game space held within those media can be understood archaeologically as digital built environments containing their own material culture. Explored on two levels, in-game, synthetic world, and extra-game, natural world, existing at the same time using hardware as a nexus connecting the two. Boom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have... That's probably where my thing came from, so I can't really take credit for my profound statement for the day.
I'm sorry.
But I think what he says about the concept of a digital virtual world as a built environment, I think in a tabletop role-playing game, it's even more complicated because there are still artifacts of the writers that will pop up especially if you're playing a module, that whole setting, all the planned interactions are all created by a person. So they are material culture. Like the interaction itself is a material is an artifact.
Right. Well, we have a rule. We have a rule system. We have prescribed sort of system of the types of materials we are there, the types of peoples within this world, the types of creatures. That's sort of all prescribed for us by the designers.
The maps.
I would also even say that gameplay itself could be interpreted as, a methodology aligned with archaeological methods, insofar as doing, ethnographic studies. You have to, speak with local communities to learn more information about, your quote unquote quest or what it is that, you're there to do. So I think that's something as well. It could, I don't think it's touched upon in the initial description, but I think it fits within that as well.
Yeah. And, similar to a video game, the player is not fully in control of the game.
More so than the game, than a video game.
More so, but they are still not, because there's the other player, there's the dungeon master, there's the writers of this material, there's the entire sort of cultural pressure and lore, the sort of built experience of what is called Dungeons and Dragons, and the social expectations of what that means for that, and there's the other players at the table. So one person isn't this is a combined storytelling. It's a mutual storytelling that's occurring here, where no one person is sort of dictating.
Right.
Except me.
out of the book, kind of.
Yes.
I had something real good and I lost it.
Oh no.
I think it's interesting also the difference between doing ethnography or archaeogaming within a digital world versus in a tabletop world is that because in a tabletop setting it's much more malleable, and it's an oral history. No, that's not quite right. I think what we will be creating will be a document by broadcasting the storytelling. Sorry. Stay with me. But the fact that we are actually influencing the story as we're going and pointing it in different directions through active gameplay is interesting because and we will have to. I know a goal like this, we have to really dive into the critical theory around it. So noticing our own biases as we're creating the story and analyzing the document that we are. The document being the game rules and module, especially when we come back to the rituals and roles recap to kind of unpack everything that we did the previous week.
Footnotes.
Yeah, we will have to actually take notes. At least I'm going to have to take notes while we're doing this to make sure.
You should be taking notes anyway while we're playing, so that you know what your character is up to and doing.
I do take notes.
And I was just thinking, there is material. There is physical material culture with this. There are books. There are dice. There are miniatures. There's the other accoutrement. There are the T-shirts. There's the. If we are not playing at a table with real material, there's a computer and a software that we are having to interact with. And
virtual environment.
A virtual environment. So a lot of those materials are still going to be there. With this, the difference is the true mechanics of the game. The true game engine will be our four brains churning away. With the utilizing the input and material.
Yeah, it's this one's complicated to wrap your head around. But I'm gonna have to. I've only read about half a Reinhardt book so far. I gotta finish it.
And another interesting thing about the way we're doing this by live streaming it, so that our audience can enjoy it as we're doing this. It also allows for sort of some of the foibles that can happen with an at-home game from occurring, sort of the collective memory that come into place, the collective remembrance that might happen, that sort of is the beginning phases of turning events into legend. An event becomes a story, becomes a myth, becomes a legend. Because when you in the constant retelling, the stories become different every time. We're creating a document which will be there, and you can watch us. And he was like, "No, you said that. We didn't say that. Yes, you did."
As many times as you want, you can rewatch it.
That very much recalls Critical Role when they always say, the fans will remind us. Or you get the same thing in the Adventure Zone where the cast just chooses to forget and prefers to, but knows the fact that the internet is there to remind them every step of the way.
Because that's a weird, unique thing that happens with the whole rise of these sort of broadcast actual play games, is that you're no longer in your living room or in the game room or down at the bar. You're doing it in front of an audience, and that audience is paying attention to you, and they will hold you to task because the audience.
They're building the wiki.
Because they're also building their world. They're listening to us perform, for lack of a better term. We are on stage, we are actors, and we are performing. And they are listening to that, and in the theater of the mind, they are creating their own version of our story.
Right. I think also, especially in the case of Critical Role and Adventure Zone, which are wildly popular, with their own, the creation of their own merchandise and fan fiction and fan art and just the concepts that are, or not the concepts, but the material culture is being created as a result of a made up imaginary virtual world is like the cyclical nature of it for archaeology is kind of, it's hard to wrap your head around.
Oh, I bet Sarah's gonna be bad she's not here for this, because the concept of fan art and fan fiction, I think, is really interesting, and the relationship between the creator community and the fan community is something I'm sure that has been studied and is continued to be studied, and really fascinating relationship.
And that's something that we're hoping to have as well as we grow. We want to have more interaction with our fans and our community, and we want to grow a community. This is not as much for us. I'm talking to the person in the car right now. I don't want them to get distracted while driving. You know,
Oh, that's right. I should.
we have an entire, you know, we hope to be, you know, we are building slowly beginning to build a fan base. You know, those who are listening to this on the first run, you're the first tier, you're the vanguard of this. You're the ones a year from now at ArchaeoRPG Con are going to be able to say, I was there. I'm OG. You know, how many people are going to be claiming they were listening to these original broadcasts when we were looking at the channel and we know we only had like 2 people watching us. But, you know, they're going to have about 100 people claiming that they were those 2 people.
Dream big. Gotta dream big.
Hey, one day we'll have an entire empire built on these characters.
Hey, you know, they go behind the scenes now. We're currently at 31 subscribers to our YouTube channel. Thank you all. So we are on the march now to 100. So we are on the march to 100 right now. That's sort of the first mini goal. We just keep going, and then we knock PewDiePie out of the way, which is good because he needs to be knocked out of the way. That's right. We're starting wars with everybody. It's what you can do when you know no one's watching you.
Well, somebody eventually watches us. We usually get about 100 or so views.
Yeah. No,
I don't know how many of that is us rewatching it. I mean, I don't. But
I don't watch my own product.
I can't listen to my voice. It's weird. I'm weird. You're listening to me, it sounds weird, and you know it.
Hey, I have to edit these things for the podcast, so I have to listen to myself over and over and over again.
So sorry.
And how many times I say and go before talking. Yeah, it's not fun at all.
But it's a learning process, though, too. I think I've gone back and listened and definitely cringed a few times myself. But I think it's a good way to hold myself accountable and to move forward and to grow.
Yeah.
So, sort of, that's the briefest thing of Archaeogaming. Like a lot of these things, we'll be fleshing these things out. This is the ultimate way you shouldn't be doing science. We are going to experiment to learn. Like we're going to learn this.
It's an observational science and interdisciplinary science.
Yeah, we're not going in completely blind, but we are kind of blind. But that's also part of the fun with this. I mean, this thing like any good science, like any good experiment, and this is truly an experiment. This could absolutely fall flat on its face. This could absolutely become something that we right now have no idea about. It's going to go into a different direction entirely. That may be an awesome, cool direction, but we aren't thinking about that right now. It may be something else.
As long as we...
I said, I'm just here for D&D.
As long as we hit the markers of we play some D&D, and then we also think about the structure of the game we just played, I think I'll be happy. And those are really my only goals.
And that is the other absolutely, and I've said this a few times already tonight, absolutely important part about this particular show, Ritual and Rolls Recap, is that this is the place for us to get the nerdy archaeology talk in place. While we're playing the game, we are going to play the game. You guys will be in character.
So we can
I will be all the other
social theory.
Right. You will be Thomag. You will be Ty. I will be everybody else.
Except for Sarah.
Except for Aranel. But I do get to be mascot.
You do get to be mascot.
So I got like a week now to worry about my voices.
And as we know, many other animal voices.
Yes. The downside to having like a druid and a warlock with some weird stuff. There's a lot of talking to animals, so I got to come up with animal conversations.
They can all be the same voice if you want, by the way.
No. I will try to roll out different voices. They will be different voices in my mind. You will hear the exact same thing every time.
Wait, have you guys heard about what is it, the Matt Mercer effect?
I've seen that, yeah. I've seen discussions about that, yeah.
What it fill me in here.
I can jump in. So I think the basic concept is the fact that people have come to expect things out of their own GMs, or at least expect at a certain level, and that it's of both gameplay but also performance from their GMs, and it's become troublesome for a lot of people.
So Critical Role is both making D&D super popular and great again, and also, I'm sorry I used that phrasing, is making it's bringing it to a new level and making it super popular, but also ruining it for everybody at a normal table.
Well, don't worry, I'm gonna say it right now. If you're expecting me to be Matt Mercer, I'm expecting you to be as comical as Sam Riegel and as emotive as Liam O'Brien.
He's from here. I can't be that moody. I just can't be that moody.
But the Critical Role is a good example for us. This is our behind-the-scenes pep talk right now. Watch Campaign 1, Episode 1, and then watch like last week's show. The difference between the things.
Stark difference.
And these are professionals. But so no, we're gonna make stumbles early on. I'm letting also it's a secret now to the fans listening right now. We won't be perfect from episode 1. I'm just laying that out right now.
Yes.
So we will learn as we go along. We will get better in terms of our characters. Once we start getting that sweet Patreon money in, we can improve our quality for everybody here so that we can deliver you a better product.
Mm.
I think I need to at least invest in like a camera, not attached to my computer.
Same.
And we're gonna need a really long extension cable we can send over to Ama to plug her right into the internet.
Yeah.
It's coming. I swear it's coming. It's just.
It will hopefully be here by next week.
I was told 2 weeks, but if I have to, I will come back and I will do what I can to make arrangements.
Okay. With Dark Forces, better left alone.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about, D&D, what we're going to be doing, Dungeons and Dragons. We talked a little bit about what Archaeogaming is. But there's sort of a different aspect of archaeology we're getting involved with. It's the reason we have an audience watching and listening to us right now. And that has to do with public engagement. So I will let our two illustrious public archaeologists jump in from here.
Kinda.
To sort of take over, like, how we are hoping to use rituals and roles as a tool for engagement for public archaeology.
Yeah.
Do you want to start or should I?
I guess I'll go ahead and start here. So okay. So archaeology is science of any kind is completely worthless if you're not disseminating that information out into the public and making it useful for people. And by using archaeology to kind of break down, cultural phenomena like role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons, and kind of pointing out pointing out all the warts and imperfections in this thing that a lot of people love. You are. Oh, I just went sideways on that one. You are kind of breaking it down into its parts and kind of exposing people to anthropology and archaeology helps. It just gets people more engaged with that with that way of thought and critical thinking, and just kind of realizing that where the things that they use and say and actions that they do, where do they come from? How do they affect other people? Because I mean, archaeology is by definition a part of anthropology. I know there's a lot of Brits out there who are going to ignore or will disagree with me wholeheartedly, but I don't care. I'm an American.
Oh yeah, I forgot I haven't done my one yet.
And I'm gonna pull,
Tristan, we're talking about you.
Yeah, Tristan. Archaeology is anthropology. Deal with it. The point I'm trying to get at here is we want the this podcast to turn into something that makes archaeology more accessible, anthropology more accessible. Did I freeze?
You're kind of. Well, you're back now.
But my voice coming still?
Yeah, your voice still coming. Keep talking.
Okay. We just wanted to make it something that makes things like this more accessible, and it makes, you know, shutting down pseudo-archaeology like Ancient Aliens and like a lot of the stuff that Scott Walter does, and I don't know, Kurt Von Daniken. Well, I won't put. I'll go as far as saying I won't put Scott Walter in the same bag as Kurt Von Daniken because he is.
That's straight up.
That's might be the nicest thing I can say. But the principles that those theories are built on are inherently racist. It's you're discounting other cultures just because you don't think they have their saying aliens built the pyramids is discounting ancient Egyptians and saying that they didn't have the capabilities to do these truly impressive things, and they are even more interesting to be built by humans than they are to be built by some all-powerful extraterrestrial force. And I know at least early on, the other kind of cool thing about this project in particular, I know early on we had discussed eventually writing our own rules to have role-playing archaeology itself, and making that available in some manner for classrooms and museums and things like that to make this stuff fun.
Yeah, we still have not given up on that idea. That just has been pushed back. That is maybe phase 3 or phase 4 of the rollout.
Yeah, we need to actually like break it down, see what actually needs to be changed, and then we can put our own rules together.
We must first perform the vivisection upon Dungeons and Dragons so that we can understand and rebuild it and make it stronger.
That's a beautiful word picture. By beautiful, I mean a little disturbing. Because vivisection. You. Sorry, Amma, I kind of just steamrolled you on that one.
No, I think you covered a lot of where I was coming from as well, and so far as active engagement using a platform that people are familiar with to talk about something that maybe they're not quite as familiar with, or to use it as a platform of engagement where you have people that might be interested in one or the other or both, and use that as a means of starting a dialogue. As much as I see this as a project that we are going to input, our thoughts and our experiences into, I also see it as a really exciting opportunity to interact with people as well around the world and to hear their own experiences and see maybe not only how we can get other people to think about things differently, but how maybe we can think about gaming and archaeology different as well.
Very good.
The public engagement part is definitely, I mean, making this as interactive as possible is something that is actually pretty important to me, I know, and I think to everybody else as well. But like, if you're watching this with us now, be active in chat, ask us questions. If you're watching it later, we're all on Twitter. You can email the ArchaeoRPG account. So it's ArchaeoRPG@gmail.com. We kind of plugged it in the
And point to all of our platforms. We are available on all those platforms.
We're on everything. But send us questions. We actually do want to hear from you and engage with you. If we say a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense, ask us about it. I think I know we're like plugging a whole bunch of other podcasts now. Ologies.
Don't worry, I'll edit this out in post.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. I think these are good science communication platforms, and they're worth your time. They're not doing the same thing we are, so whatever.
No.
The whole theme, Ellie Ward's theme for the whole show is ask smart people stupid questions. I don't believe there is such a thing as a stupid question. If you don't understand it, ask me a question about it.
Or, in my case, ask a stupid person a smart question. I won't answer it.
Oh, says the person in the doctorate program.
I don't claim any semblance of...
Just a real good faker. I mean, the imposter syndrome thing is real.
Yeah. So, with our sort of last few minutes we have right now, maybe we could kind of give folks a little tease, a little preview, as it were, of some of the characters they're going to come and interact with over the next few weeks, months with that. So, would either of you two like to give sort of the elevator pitch version of...
I'm sharing my screen, by the way.
It's not showing up on the...
It's not showing up.
It's not? Oh, shoot. Let me try again.
I mean, it's showing up on our Skype call. It's just not showing up on the stream.
Oh, shoot.
I'm not sure why that is.
Hold on. Maybe there's something else I can...
Yeah.
I
put you on the spot there. I'm sorry.
But these are character models pending to change.
Absolutely. I would love to do some colored versions, and I just got a list of some requests in regards to art. I didn't realize they were in the Google Doc folder, so my apologies. I will get on that then. Ooh, look at me.
So there we go. I'll make it a little bigger right now. We'll cover our faces up so we can sort of see a view of the three main protagonists in the upcoming tale.
Yeah.
Well, four main protagonists, really.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that Wolfie is
So, Tom, would you like to introduce Thomag?
You can see that I was super creative on the name. So Thomag, I don't know how much of the setup do we want to do here.
Do you
want to talk about our home game at all, or?
Yeah, you could talk about the home game basically up until you stop playing it, and then the intervening years we can figure out as we go along.
Yeah. So Thomag is a Goliath barbarian, and during the home game, I chose the Path of the Totem, the bear, which is super fun. But as during which I tripped real hard on bee venom, and found my spirit animal, the Great Bear Smokey, and was forced to fight his avatar and create a totem from the carcass, which Ty totally stole my kill on. So the vest that you see there is much cooler now, and part of that path is you have some physical transformation. So all my our illustrious GM decided that all of my tattoos are now fuzzy. And I think I have sharp teeth or something too.
Your teeth are a little more. Your canines are a little more pronounced.
They're a little pointy. But I've got a big old hammer, a maul that I think I've decided I'm going to refer to as compelling argument.
I thought, well, actually, another good name would be Only You. Because only you can prevent.
Can it, though?
And that could be your, go-ahead line for kills.
I'm gonna have to think on that one. There's a way to do this. I don't know what the
there's good pun potential there.
Is.
But
there is. I'm gonna seriously consider this. And then in the intervening years, I'm gonna come in.
Yeah,
do we want to talk about the intervening?
Nah. We can do that next week.
Okay. So this is where
you started. This is where Thomag at levels 1 through 3. We will see him again next week at level 5. What happened in between? We will learn that as we go along.
Yeah.
Pacing. It's all about pacing. Tyvindr, our mysterious. A true man of mystery.
I don't know if I would paint him that way, but no, just kidding.
Does he not like a good tuxedo?
I could draw him in that, yeah.
It's a little mysterious.
I could see that. No, it was interesting because I joined the group a little bit late and after a couple characters had come and gone. And I know you guys were looking for a rogue to join the party. And so that's kind of originally how I came across or kind of, made him to fit that kind of slot, so to speak. But so far I've kept him a little bit aloof since he is a drow. He has that kind of quality about him because I haven't really quite resolved the drow within the D&D world, but I especially for him being one kind of out of the Underdark, it's been something that's new for me to play. So he's been snarky and reserved and judgmental and very much out for himself and grabbing what he can and looting places when he could find them. Came away with a couple of really nice objects. I hope we can still keep those for the campaign.
Yeah, and did you get my email about the other new one?
Email, or was it?
It was through the Discord channel. Yeah.
I did.
And if you join our Patreon,
you can join
you'll have
access to the Discord channel.
Yeah.
Actually, I believe I did respond to that, and then I gave you his backstory, and I think I tried to include that in there. So it's for your consideration.
Okay. Well,
since we can't really talk about that.
He still has that item.
Excellent. So,
there's one character fault I would like to put on Tyvindr. We could say this now. It's not really a fault. It's more of a tick. Because drows are so uncommon as adventurers in Faerun, the continent that we're on in Dungeons and Dragons, the Forgotten Realms, everyone seems at one point or other to ask you if you know Dritz. Dritz, the very popular character from a long series of Dungeons and Dragons books, who was a drow ranger, who was like the most, basically, of the last 20 years, possibly the most famous Dungeons and Dragons character of the last 20 years. So I'm just now picturing sort of that sort of you might hear that question a lot, and this may not be the first time you've heard that question a lot. So just think about how you want to handle that you've heard that question a lot.
No, I think that's a fun tick to kind of build in. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, that'll be, oh my god.
You'll be glad to get into the jungle where, until somebody comes out of the woods, but hey, are you? No,
don't you even.
That's gonna be brilliant. What was I gonna ask? Oh yeah, I was thinking potentially and I don't know how far I want to push this, giving him a soft accent, but I'm not quite Liam O'Brien ready.
Yes, but you do you, and if you want to, if you want to give your character and the embodiment of your character a little bit of a accent to go along with it, go ahead. You're not going to get any qualms from me, since I'm going to be trying to do accents to the NPCs, and I will be flailing up here all the time. So don't be afraid about trying to do an accent. All of you watching and listening, be kind to us, please. Please be kind. So, and since Sarah couldn't make it here today, the very briefest of introductions about Aranel and Mascot. Aranel is our, as you can see from the picture here, they are a human. They are our warlock, and they have a companion. Early on in the adventures with Thomag, a little before Ty came into the picture, they had to rescue someone from a den of goblins, and then in there were a number of wolves, and she was able to communicate. They were able to communicate with these wolves, and there was two wolves there. One of them sort of didn't attack the party, but then quickly lost interest and ran away. But another one stayed, and the two of them have formed a bond. And by now, I'm sure that bond's even stronger now. He has the name Mascot, but there's a whole long lineage to that, and I don't have that in front of me at the moment.
What is it? Mascot von Wolfie Sama. Something.
We'll get his official.
There was a couple more names.
We'll do his official title next week if we have like a nice, if we have character portraits.
Gonna work on it. I promise.
I no pressure, no pressure
As you have
whatsoever.
time.
If we have them, we'll post them on social media, and if not, you have to be patient and use your imagination.
It'll look something kind of like this, maybe.
And through different magical means, both Aranel and Thomag are able to communicate with Mascot, so we sort of learned his voice. And
although I think we left it off with Mascot being a little peeved with me because of the bee venom tripping.
Well, this would have been years ago. We'll see whether or not Mascot still holds a grudge from years in the past. Actually, episode 1's going to see how many people still hold grudges.
Ooh. Oh. This could be fun.
Yeah.
Or terrible.
Fun can.
I think I'm going to go. The voice I'm going to do for Thomag is probably something along the same lines as you may be familiar with in the Adventure Zone, with just gruffness. Like this.
Yeah.
We can have a gruff off. It'll be fun.
Oh my god.
No, Mascot talks to you like this. Dear human, please don't walk away from the party again. We don't want to lose you this time.
You abandoned. The accusation was you abandoned the pack, and I
abandoned.
felt that is the worst I've ever felt from like a comment from an imaginary character.
Human, you have abandoned the pack. So yeah, that's a little hint of the of Mascot. But I think with this then, we'll go ahead and wrap things up for tonight. Maybe I can catch the last few minutes of the debates that are going on right now.
Still can't bring myself to watch them.
Or I'll just watch the aftermath afterwards. Any final words?
Come back next week. We're going to do some live play stuff, and it's going to be super cool.
I'm going to try and get my internet worked out by then.
Yeah, you can do it. I am certain of it.
For next week, remember, Ritual and Rolls lives, first run, it lives on Twitch. So we will be at www.twitch.tv/ArchaeoRPG, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, next Thursday, the 19th. which will be Friday the 20th at 9 a.m. Japanese Standard Time.
We know all of your classmates are also watching this.
Definitely. All one of them.
Huge cohort.
Okay. So with all that, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us at ArchaeoRPG on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Our email address is archaeorpg@gmail.com. If you wish to support our show, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/archaeorpg. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to help spread the word. And remember, this and everything else we do on this channel is a product of the ArchaeoRPG Collective. Thank you. Good night. I don't have a good ending line for this show yet. It's the first episode, all right? Give me a break.
When in doubt, it's ritual.
When in doubt, it's ritual.
Something rolls.
Yes.
Step 3, profit.
Profit. All right. We will see you all in the imaginary world next week. Goodbye.
Woo!